Hello and welcome. In this session, we are going to see why we must use the PHP DIR constant when writing include statements. For illustration purposes, I'm going to use a 3-page mini project called test code. So here we have two directories, about and lists. On the lists folder, we have a file called locations.php, and this file contains a list of cities we want to include on the about file. Then on the about file, which is inside of a directory called about, we have some data, but we also want to include the locations PHP file to complete the page. Basically, we want to merge these two files for displaying purposes. Now, the include statement starts with a ... which means to go up from the current directory, about, to the next directory up, which is the test code directory, and then from there the path tells us to go into a sibling directory called lists, where the locations.php file resides. And this works. Let's just test it by running the about page. And here on screen we see the about page information plus a list of locations coming from the locations file. So if all I want is to include the locations PHP file in the about file, then the ... works fine. The problem happens when I call the about file from another dimension, such as, for example, if I include the about file in the index PHP file. We see that the index resides on the test code directory, which has a different relation to the lists directory, since it starts from another location. So when I include the about page in index.php, suddenly the include statement for the locations file is no longer correct, because it is telling me to go up one directory, and here PHP will take us above the test code directory and try to find the lists folder in there, which is incorrect. Let's look at the about page again. The way to fix this is to hardwire the absolute path in the include statement. Like, for example, c xampp htdocs test code about. Then we should add a / to separate the directories in the path. And now the rest of the includes path should work. Let's test the indexed page again. And as you see, the index page works when we use the absolute path. The absolute path forces us to go back to the about folder, then go up one directory, and then go down to the lists directory to fetch the locations file. So we have hardwired the absolute path, which makes this include statement portable. And because this is a good practice, PHP offers us a constant named __dir_ that grabs the absolute path of the location where the include file is being written, and it cements it there for portability purposes. That's the reason why it's a good idea to always use the dir constant. Even when you move your project to another server, the dir will always adjust the absolute path to the new server, and it will work fine. I hope it makes sense, and thank you for taking the time to view this mini project. I'll see you next time, and don't forget to subscribe.